So you've got the talent and you've got the passion, but you don't know the best ways or even where to start to make your music dreams a reality. I'm Terrence, and I've been a full-time musician for over 30 years. And in this video, I'm breaking down 5 must-do steps to help you take control of your music career and thrive. So this is the third and final video in the series I'm doing where I'm showing you how to turn your passion for music into a paycheck. And in the first 2 videos, we covered mindset. We talked about how mindset was like the foundational thing that you really need to change to be successful. We also talked about monetization because that's something that a lot of musicians struggle with, like how to monetize your talent. And then we also talked about how to grow your audience because that's something that's really important as well. But now in this video, it's really time to take full control of your career, and that starts with these 5 steps. And the first step is you have to stop relying on others and own your own career. So I remember back when I was in the 9th grade in high school, I was in the marching band. And when I went to the 9th grade, I was playing saxophone in the band. And what happened was the school didn't have enough instruments there to provide all of the kids. And a lot of our parents, like mine, didn't have money to go out and just buy a brand new saxophone for us to play. So what the result of that would be, I would just be sitting in the saxophone section every day, watching the other students who had saxophones play, mostly the upperclassmen. And then just like waiting for my turn to maybe borrow one of their instruments. But while that was happening, I got mesmerized with the drum section. The drum section used to sit behind me on my left-hand side here. And I remember being mesmerized by them because drums was my first instrument. I already knew how to play drum set or whatever. But I was mesmerized by like their stick coordination and all of the cadences and stuff that they were doing. And it was just so amazing to me. But what happened was one day my band director came to me because he had saw me like being mesmerized by the drum section. He came to me and he said, "I'm going to put you in the drum section because I think that's where you want to be anyway." And like, oh my God, was I so excited. Like, oh my God, this is something I had sat there for 2 or 3 months dreaming about, like being in the drum section. So what happened is, in essence, he gave me an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity to do what, I had been dreaming about. But what happened was later in life for me, that caused me to think that opportunities, somehow came from other people. Like other people were supposed to do stuff for you and give you opportunities. And that kind of came to its head when I got older and I was sitting around waiting on people, and depending on people to do stuff for me, and they just wouldn't fall through. Or come through. And it wasn't until I learned that I had to take control of my own journey and create opportunities and things like that for myself that I really started to see some headway and succeed. And I think that's the lesson from this. The lesson that I got from it is that nobody is out here like just trying to give you anything. If you do get anything from anybody, you're lucky, right? If people come along and give you opportunities. But I think a lot of us musicians nowadays have this mentality that people owe us something. Like people are supposed to give us something. Like I talk about in videos all the time, how we sit around and just, during the week and wait for a phone call for somebody to offer us a gig. And if they don't, we don't gig because we don't have any other opportunities other than what people give us, rather than owning our own journey and creating opportunities for ourselves. So that's the first lesson here with taking control of your career and really thriving. It's really owning it. You have to develop this sense of ownership for everything and responsibility as well, but a sense of ownership for what's happening to you, for what doesn't happen to you, for the opportunities you get, and for the opportunities that you don't get. So the thing here is, again, the fix is what you have to do is start changing your mindset. Stop thinking that people owe you something and that people are supposed to give you something. Go out and create opportunities for yourself. I talk about all the time, like as a band and as a musician and stuff like that, how many opportunities we can create. Go down to the local club in your town or whatever, and if they don't have, say, like a night of rock and you're a rock band, Go and pitch that to them and pitch you being the band for it. One of the things that I did and that I told people about many years ago was that you can, if you live in a home that has a homeowners association, or even if you live like in an apartment complex or something like that, go to those people and pitch like a night, like a community night where the community comes meet each other, and it's like a little of a party of a thing, and then you pitch your band playing for it. And what will happen is, even if you do something like that for a small amount of money or even no pay at all, opportunities can come from stuff like that. So that's creating opportunities for yourself. Again, that's the unlock here. You got to own your own career. Now, the second step is something that is really important, and that is you want to build systems for consistency and growth. So you remember I just talked about drums, right? Because drums was my first instrument. So one of the things I remember is when I first started playing, I would go around and watch all of these drummers play, like at church and stuff like that. I would watch church drummers play. And they always would be able to do this drum lick I thought that was really, really cool, that I could never figure out how to do it. I would listen to them do it and I would know what they were doing. I was just like, I don't know how to do that. And it frustrated like the hell out of me. Like I was really wanting to be able to play this lick. But what happened was, one day I had my drum set up at my house. And I was just determined I was going to figure this lick out. Like, no matter what, I'm going to figure it out. So I knew the concept, and what it was, if you're familiar with drum rudiments and stuff like that, basically what it was a double stroke roll between your hands and your foot. And these drummers would be able to do this thing like really, really fast. They would have these quick, fast feet, and I didn't have that developed yet. So it's basically like doing 2 on the hand, 1, 2, and then 2 on the foot. So da, da, doom, doom, like that, right? So what I did was, because I was determined to get this lick down, I slowed this lick down to like turtle speed for like 2 hours. Literally, I sat there at my drum set and I just did da, da, do, do with my foot. Da, da, do, literally for about an hour and a half, until the point to where it got locked in my brain. And then after that, I started to speed it up a little bit. So it became da, da, do, do, da, da, do, do, and so forth and so on. And eventually, after a couple of days, just literally 2 or 3 days, I was at the speed to where I was hearing these drummers do it. It was like, da, 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 like, right? It was crazy. I had figured this lick out that I had been waiting so long and wondering, how in the hell are they doing this lick? And literally just in a couple days, I figured it out. And what that taught me is something that is extremely important that I use still to this day, is that when you put systems in place to get stuff done and achieve something, oh my God, it makes it infinitely easier and simpler. Like if I hadn't figured out a system of how to achieve this lick that I wanted to achieve, like I would have been sitting around just still wondering about it. Or it probably would have taken me, 10 times as long to figure it out. And that's the unlock here. When you want to be successful, you put things in place, you put systems in place to help you be successful at stuff. Now, here's the kicker about this. The reason you want to do that is because being successful in a lot of areas, no matter what you want to be successful in, a lot of times takes time, or at least it takes more time than what a lot of us are willing to wait for, or a lot of us think. Like a lot of us have this mentality that success is supposed to be overnight. So what'll happen in that process is you'll get tired really quick. You'll burn out and you'll be like, man, this is just too difficult. But when you have a system in place to make stuff happen, you're able to achieve it faster and you're able to get more done. I did the same thing when I was learning how to play the bass guitar. Like I would take like 3 or 4 notes, and literally like I would find one of those songs that only had like 3 or 4 notes in the entire song, and I would play that song over and over and over again, where it was basically like whole notes. It was like doom, 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 and to just play that song over and over and over and over and over again for a few hours even, or a couple of days. to the point to where that the bass guitar and playing frets and stuff like that locked in my brain. And then again, after a few days, I added some notes. And then after a couple of weeks or a month or so, I was playing full songs on the bass, a whole lot easier. And it was because I put systems in place. And now it's how I do stuff. Because I put systems in place, it's how I am the musical director at 2 churches. And I run a band. I'm a musical director in a band. I have a YouTube channel and social media that I post content on regularly, where I'm recording and editing and stuff and videos and, spending time with my family and friends and stuff like that. It's because I've put systems in place to make all of that stuff infinitely easier. And I can go to bed easy at night and get my 8 hours of sleep. So the unlock here is, again, if you want to be successful, what you need to do is put systems in place to help you grow quicker and achieve what you want to achieve quicker. Without systems, it's going to be infinitely harder to do what you want to do. So make sure you incorporate systems in whatever process that you're trying to do to be successful. And before we get to the third step, jump down in the comments and let me know about any systems that you have in place to achieve the goals that you want. That'll help me out and help everybody out that's watching this video. Okay, so this third step is really crucial as well. And that is, you need to learn how to sell yourself. And this has to do with branding and positioning. So it's crazy. We've all probably experienced this thing I'm about to tell you before, where this one time I had someone that was trying to hire me for an event, for a gig that they wanted me to play for. And it was this big company. I can't remember even the name of it, but if I said the name of the company, you would remember it, or you would know it. And it was this, they were trying to hire me for the entertainment for some kind of conference or something that they were having. And I got on the phone with the person who was doing the coordinating for the event. And they asked me the question that we all get asked: how much do you charge? So in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is a big opportunity. I really want to do this gig. The stuff that kind of goes through all of our mind when we get asked this question. Really want to do this gig. I don't want to overquote. I want to say this really high price. So they'll be like, maybe we need to find somebody else. And all of this stuff is going through my mind. And as a result of that, I told her this like crazy low price. I can't even remember what it was. It was something that was like so low that I think I quoted lower than what I would even normally charge for something smaller than that. And I never will forget this. This lady, I was on the phone with her and I heard her like pause. And she just said, "Oh, I thought it would be much more than that." Oh my God. Let me tell you, when you hear those words, I thought you were going to say more than that, or I thought you were going to charge more than that. You immediately feel like an absolute idiot, an absolute dud of a fool. Like, why in the hell did I say this low price when I really probably could have said double or triple that? And it gets worse, because this lady literally said, usually like when we hire bands and stuff or musicians and stuff, they're like in the high thousands. So I thought you were going to say something like that. So I don't know if you've seen those cartoons where somebody just says something stupid and they kind of start melting in their seat. Like, I felt myself melting. Like, how could I be so stupid? And this again taught me a lesson. Like, this goes into like branding yourself. So what I realized is that I hadn't really put any sort of intention on positioning myself and selling myself correctly and putting out what I wanted my value to be to other people. And that was the unlock for me, because it was like, what happened was, because I hadn't even thought about this stuff myself, when I got these calls, it was just like, it was almost like something new to me. It's like, oh man, what do I charge? What am I supposed to say to this? When in actuality, what I should have done, and this is the lesson, what I should have done is had all of this stuff ironed out in the first place. And I'll tell you how I deal with stuff like that now. What I have in place are my prices. I have set prices for the stuff that I do. And of course, I have some negotiation room in there for just depending on the things that they want me to do and all of that. But I have my value in what my services are valued. So when someone calls and asks me the question of what do you charge, I can immediately say, hey, for that, my price is such and such, or your investment. This is a secret that you want to say too in the language that you use. Don't say I charge something. You can say stuff like your investment in what you're asking me to do is going to be this price. It kind of shifts that mindset of them thinking in terms of their investment, and it makes it more likely for them to hire you. That's just a psychology thing that I learned a while back. That's free. But anyway, yeah, it's what I did. I have my prices and stuff set. So now when somebody calls me, I'm able to do that. And not only that, what happens is, as a result, over time, is that it's this magical thing that sort of happens where your value kind of gets out there in the ether, so to speak. And I don't want to sound so esoteric here, but it really is something that happens like that, where people start to see you a certain way. I never forget, I have a lot of people tell me all the time, it's not so much now as it was like 5 or 10 years ago, but I would have people that I would meet, socially and stuff like that, and they would automatically think that I was rich or that I had a lot of money or something like that. And I would just think to myself, like, what? Because I don't. And I would be thinking about, like, what am I putting out that makes people think that about me? And what occurred to me is that this value ether thing that I'm talking about, when you establish yourself, when you set your standards, that's what this is really about, branding and positioning. When you set your standards, it exudes around you. You walk into the room like a valuable person, not an egotistical person, not like somebody owes you anything, because we just talked about that. Not like that, but confident. Like, people understand that when they look at you, this is a valuable person. And it goes into a lot of the stuff that we do. How you present yourself on social media, how you show up at gigs, on time, are you professional, and all of that. Those are things that go into that. And it's crazy now because it's very rare now that people even ask me to do anything for like low prices. I have a lot of my musician friends. I have a really close friend of mine now that's a bass player. He literally tells me at least 2 or 3 times a month on a regular basis. He'll call me up and say, hey, T, man, or I'll see him somewhere and he'll be like, yeah, man, T, somebody called me about a gig last week and I was thinking about getting you on it, but when they told me the price, I was like, man, I'm not going to even ask him because I know he's not going to do it for that price. And I've never had the conversation with him, at least directly, about, hey, man, don't call me unless it's for a certain price. It's like he just kind of knows. So you see how it's weird like that? It's this value thing that goes out when you position yourself and you set your standards and you sell yourself correctly. So what you want to do here in order to do this is, again, just clarify your own goals about what you want to do and about what you want to achieve and about what your standards are going to be. That's what this really is about, setting standards and not letting those standards be set by other people. And the second part of that is sticking to those standards as closely as you can. And you know what that means? It means you're going to have to say no to some stuff. It means you're going to have to, bypass some gigs here and there that are beneath the standards that you set, right? That's the unlock. When you want to be successful, it takes these things. And some of the reasons behind that is because, again, if you watch my video, one of the more popular videos here on the channel is about why I think musicians should stop doing gigs for $100. And one of the main reasons for that is that this mindset that $100 gigs give you, it puts you at this standard. It sets you at this standard where it's just like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is all that I can achieve. So this is what it's going to be. So again, this is the unlock. Get this in place. Get your positioning and set your standards in place. Okay, so this fourth one is like the biggest game changer of them all. At least it was for me. And that is to develop a resilient mindset, because fear will kill your career. So let me share something here. I'm going to share something that I've never talked about publicly before. So it might surprise you to know that it took me 8 full years to get my degree in music. So I was in undergrad for 8 full years. And that was in the context of other people graduating in 4 years, 5 years, and stuff like that. And there were many reasons for this, but the biggest one of them all was this. After being in college for 3 years, I was going back to school for my fourth semester, or my fourth year, the first semester of my fourth year. I was sitting down with my college advisor, and we were going over my schedule, my class schedule and stuff like that. And I never forget, he looked up, he was looking down at my schedule, and he said, And he looked up and he asked me, he said, "How are you majoring in music education with the concentration on piano?" Because that was my major for the first 3 years of college. Music education with a concentration on piano. And the question stunned me. I was like, what are you talking about? He said these words to me. He said, "This major doesn't even exist." I was like, wait, what? And he had to explain to me. He said that if you're majoring in music education at my school at the time, if you're majoring in music education, like the concentration instrument that you have to choose has to be in this category. So in one of those categories didn't include piano. So it had to be like, a woodwind instrument or something like that. It was the craziest system at the time. And I was just like, what the hell are you talking about? And so what he told me, he said, was that if you wanted to concentrate on piano, you wanted piano to be your concentration instrument, you need to switch from music education to music performance and to get a degree in music performance with the concentration on piano. And lo and behold, it's funny because this same thing that I'm describing happened to three of us music majors. It was one of my best friends in the whole world right now. He and I were in college together. It's happened to me, him, and a third person that we know that we're kind of still fairly close to. And as a result of this, we were presented with like the ultimate ultimatum. It was like, because what this meant was that if we were going to continue in music education, we were going to have to switch instruments, which means we were going to have to start over. Like the classes start at 101 level on whatever instrument we was going to switch to. Or we was going to have to switch to music performance, and then we keep the piano stuff and keep those credits. But now there's more stuff in this music performance degree that wasn't in the music education degree that we were going to have to take. You follow me? So either way it go, it was going to make us stay in college a whole lot longer than what we had planned to. So as a result of this, after another semester of school, my best friend, he ended up leaving college and stuff like that for various other reasons, but this had something to do with it as well. The other guy ended up not finishing as well. But for me, what I ultimately end up doing is switching my major to music performance with a concentration on piano. So that's what my degree is in now. But again, for me, it wasn't really an ultimatum as much, because quitting wasn't an option for me. I had to stick with this. Music was my life. It was the only thing that I had. So I had to stick with it. So it caused me again to be in college another 5 years after that 3 years. Again, remember, I just told you I was in college for 8 years. And again, this process, what doing this, I think over time has taught me about being successful in anything that we want to do, that we have to stay resilient. One of the things that I've heard Will Smith, the actor Will Smith, and his wife Jada, and all of the controversies that they've had over the years and all of that kind of stuff. One of the things, I think he's a really wise person. One of the things that I've heard him talked about in the past was about he and Jada's relationship, about how divorce was just not an option for them. Like, divorce was not a thing. Like, it's not a concept. Like, quitting this marriage is not a concept. And I think that that's the level of resilience that you have to have, or at least a little bit of that, when you want to be successful. You got to have this. Quitting is not an option. Me leaving college and quitting school is not an option. Me not being successful in doing so, that's not an option. I'm going to stick with this or I'm going to die. It literally takes that level of resilience that you have to have when you want to be successful at something. So again, that's the unlock. And the thing is, what you want to do with this, how you fix this for yourself, is you flip that mindset. You take quitting and failure and all of that stuff off the table. Like those things just don't exist. Me not achieving something or achieving a dream or being successful is not an option. That just does not exist. And you have to remove that thinking about that kind of stuff from the table of options that you have. And when you do that, your mind gets so focused on your goals that it's like you're 100 times more likely to achieve them, no matter how long it takes. That's what it is. No matter how long it takes me to graduate college, if it takes me 8 years, another 10 years, you can't put any obstacle in front of me that's going to make me not achieve this. Either I'm going to keep doing it or I'm going to die. It's that level of resilience that you have to have. So again, this is why this one to me is the biggest game changer and the biggest unlock, is because when you have that level of resilience, the world is your playground. Okay, now this fifth and final step is the one that is the action taker. This is what you need to do. And that is, what you're going to do is use YouTube to build a successful long-term music career. So let me tell you something. In the past year, I've attended 2 of the biggest YouTube creator conferences in the world. And at these conferences, everybody that you've ever seen on YouTube, all of the big players, all of them were at these conferences, along with some of the top business and finance experts in the world. And while there, I learned some really, really, really shocking, but really encouraging stats about musicians and social media and YouTube specifically. And the first one was that YouTube now has over 2 billion monthly users. 2 billion monthly users. Put that in context. Now, 70%, this is another stat, 70% discover new music on YouTube. So 70% of people who listen to music, who look for music, who search for music, discover it on YouTube. And then, second down the line are platforms like Spotify and stuff like that. But that's another one. Now, the third stat, check this one out. There's over 1 billion hours of music uploaded to YouTube daily. 1 billion hours. So I'm sorry, it's streamed on 1 billion hours of music is streamed on YouTube daily, right? And these stats really highlight just how powerful, platforms like YouTube can be for musicians that's looking to be successful and grow their career. Now, in addition to that, check this out. The creator economy as a whole, which is basically what I'm describing here with this whole YouTube thing. The creator economy as a whole was valued at $250 billion back in 2023. Now, guess what? It's projected to hit 480 billion by 2027. I don't think you caught that. That means it's almost doubling in value in just 4 years. And this is, if you want long-term success, I've talked about YouTube and stuff before, but if you want long-term success, this is right now. This is the way. There's no bigger, by a mile. Any other avenue that's out there by a mile is far beneath what you can achieve on, leveraging a platform like YouTube. So again, what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're ready to take control of your career and everything that we've been talking about and really be successful and take your career to the next level, and get all of the gigs and earn all of the money and stuff that you just want, or that you want, that you've been thinking about, and get the freedom and stuff that you want. I've just launched my new YouTube course called the YouTube Creator Academy for Musicians. And it's a step-by-step program that's designed for musicians who really want to take control of their career, learn YouTube as a platform, and really grow and have a long-term success in this thing that we talked about. And you'll learn how to do stuff like get all of the views on YouTube, how to monetize, how to do all of these, grow an audience, all of the things that we've been talking about in this series of videos. And here's the thing. I got registration open for the course right now. It's at a really low introductory rate that's not going to last long at all. So if you want to get in on it now, the link is in the description of this video. I don't want to press you on it. I'm just presenting you an opportunity. Trust me when I tell you, YouTube is the future, my friend. It's the future for us musicians. I'm living proof of it now. Just for like the money that I've made on YouTube in the past year has far surpassed what a lot of musicians make, in a 5-year period just from doing like these regular club gigs, sitting at home doing videos. So again, if you're ready to take your career to the next level, check out that link in the description, sign up for the course, and I'll see you on the other side of it. Now, you can check out some of my other videos in this sort of column right here. So check out the video on the screen, and I'll see you in the next video.